Hey, everybody. Let's get it. Solomon, Book 1, Sapphire Eyes, Chapter 7, The Handler. You could have heard a mosquito fart. The story is low and slow, a terrible army marching out of Solomon's mouth. The dragon raged all night, methodically destroying massive sections of the walled city. She left hundreds dead, hundreds more wounded. Then, at the first sign of light, having poured out the cup of her wrath, she limped away through charred, gutted buildings, herself bristling with several more spears that had been fired into her bulk, leaving a trail of smoldering blood. The air smelled of sulfur and salt and bitter smoke. Her tail swished cat-like as she disappeared into the haze of morning. You could see the smoke of the city from miles away on a hill where Meshan wept for his people. The black smoke wailed into the air along with him. The shadows were back and forth between Meshan and the city, spying, evaluating the remaining potential for danger from dragon or man. At one point, Joshesh, the warrior, the poet, stood beside Meshan and sang as the king wept, comforting him with a robe of hoarse, crying music, mournful as funeral incense. Meshan was undone with grief for the city and for what was coming. Everyone now knew the walls were a lie. The dragon had torn down many sections of the Great Wall during the rampage. The walls had legitimized the rule of Garshan and his line. The ruin of the walls was the ruin of the dynasty. Leaders of the 5 tribes would already be murmuring, preparing, vying for power. Unrest and division would define the years to come. Harshan would try to rebuild the walls and would try to rebuild his rule through force and violence. Meshan knew. Meshan knew him. And the petty cycle of desire and power would play itself out once again because they were man. He felt a feeling he had never felt before. Hatred, fever of the bones, and he puzzled how to be rid of this deadly poison. He wondered if he could, being that he was also despicable man with a weak and selfish heart. He hated his brother. He hated his kind. He hated himself. His ambitious plan had ended in chaos. He cried until there were no more tears. Then he ran. He took the water flasks and the jerky left for him, and he ran. He found himself at the edge of Yuljan Desert, the place of crows. It was all sand and thorn brush and stones and circling birds and yellowed bones. Endless, lifeless waste, minus the few hardy things that could survive in the harsh and scorching sun. In all the lore of the 5 tribes, this was a place of death. He did not want to die, but he did not want to live. He wanted something else. His heart, a magnet, was pulling him forward. He rolled his life like dice in his hands and plunged down the path of no return. He staggered on for hours in a haze of numbness. Soon he was lost, now outside as well as in. The sun was waning, fingers of light holding onto the world by their fingertips. And then, like a door shutting all the way, all light, like fingers withdrawing before being smashed, darkness. Meshan groped and found a large rock. He sat in dust with his back against the cool stone and let the fearful knowledge descend upon him, sharp-edged and deadly. This was his fault. He hadn't been able to stare at that bloodthirsty sentence head on until now in the silent darkness, because it meant hundreds were dead because of him. Their homes were in ashes because of him. Children without fathers, wives without husbands because of him. He did not know how this knowledge could do anything but kill him dead. That's bullcrap, says Pebbles angrily, so deeply embedded in the story that he is speaking right to Meshan. You didn't pull the trigger, Harshan did. Meshan looked out through the shimmering walls of the story and leveled his eyes on Pebbles. You cannot make me unknow what I know. If I had not baked the cake, those people would still be alive. No anger, only simple, undeniable mathematics. Tears were streaming helplessly down Meshan's face as this knowledge stuck dagger after dagger into his frail chest. He would not survive this night. He was a gentle man, strong in his way, but very soft, very soft. He could not make himself hard like Harshan. He had no defense for the blades that pierced him through. He would not survive the night. Either the exposure to falling temperatures or the insurmountable grief would diminish his breath to stillness. He was ready. This life was too hard. His breath quieted. The cold darkness pressed the warmth from his body. His breath was shallow as a bird's. The pain was becoming a memory. His eyes became heavy. And then he saw his visitor. Felt more than saw. Someone sitting next to him, a shadow breathing in the darkness. My ways must seem very strange to you, child, said a voice, smooth as honey, deep and golden as honey from the honeycomb, strong as thunder rolling in the throat. It was like his mother's voice, which was strange because he had never heard her voice. She had died in childbirth. But it was familiar, like a mother would be, loving, a voice that knew him inside out. He felt himself held in arms, held as he had never been held, loved as he was, loved with his soft head and his love for baking and lack of battle prowess, loved. I have so many questions, he murmured in the smallest of all possible voices. How can you be the one who loves me in the darkness and the one who lets the dragon on your leash destroy my people? Because I am, the voice said simply, and held him firm. Now I ask you, the voice countered. If not for suffering, would anyone ever come away to a desert place looking for me? Meshan's pain smiled a knowing, sharp-toothed smile of agreement. A vicious chaperone. Man is complicated because man is free, the voice continued, gazing into the depths of his heart. Of all my creatures I made, only man, so wild, so free, that he can run wherever he pleases, whether to me or away. This is what it means to be free. You are free. What will you do, little Meshan? And the visitor was gone. Meshan stood. He rubbed his arms and breathed with trembling breath. He didn't have much time if he couldn't find warmth. He plunged blindly into the darkness, deciding to live if he could. He was man, and man is selfish and foolish and reckless. But man is also free. He was free. free to keep walking or to lay down and die. Meshan was free.